In the fall of 2021, three of us set out to hike 11 and a half miles from Marshall to the historic Bridge Park. This was my 8th hike on the North Country Trail, making my way from the Michigan-Ohio border to the Manistee National Forest. And if you saw my last video on my 7th hike, you know that I was very glad to have two people hiking with me in Marshall. The first thing we came upon were cats fighting. I've never seen anything like it on the NCT before.
Hey, stop that down there. Oh my gosh, there's a ton of cats here. That one is wagging his tail like he's excited about the fight.
After watching that and having a little bit of amusement to ourselves, we continued on our walk along the North Country Trail, going from the east to the west or south to north on the North Country Trail. Now, you should know that the Kalamazoo River and the North Country Trail is on the south side of Marshall. Once you complete the Riverwalk portion of this hike, the rest of the hike is pretty much road walk until you get to the historic Bridge Park, and then you are walking through the park. This hike does take you past beautiful farm country in southwest Michigan. It also has you crossing over I-69, a very well-used, popular, highly used highway in Michigan going north to south. Now, when we hiked this in 2021, the route has you going north past Sailor's Landing and onto C Drive and Business 94. It then has you going along C Drive until you get to Sesquicentennial Greens. The new route, as of 2025, has you staying on A Drive, and you stay on A Drive until you get to 12 Mile, and then you go north where you get to Sesquicentennial Greens. These are images and video footage of the old route that took us north through Sailor's Landing, which was actually quite a beautiful spot and had some great overlooks. So I kind of miss that the route doesn't take you in that direction. It also took you past a great farmers market stand, which I don't believe is any longer in business. So it's kind of a disappointment it doesn't take you here, but I get why it rerouted, because it wanted to take you off of the Business 94, which was a pretty heavily congested traffic area. So I get that. But it is sad to not go past Sailor's Landing. So if you have a chance and you're in Marshall, make sure that you drive there and you check it out, because it really is a beautiful spot to check out. Two other things that you won't pass on the new route is passing the Sesquicentennial sign and crossing over the Norfolk Southern tracks. Before hiking through the rest of town, we stopped at Sesquicentennial Green Park, which you will still walk by on the new route. This was a perfect stopping point for us, as it was halfway between Marshall and the historic Bridge Park. Now, if you saw my last video, I talked a little bit about my mom and finding out that she had cancer. And so when we got to this point, I actually sat down and contemplated our life together and my mom's situation and everything for quite a bit. I could have sat here for quite a while. It really was a lovely place just to sit and have a peaceful spot to contemplate and look around and learn all about the area. It really is a lovely park. So if you get a chance, I highly recommend stopping here, taking a break, or just going to Marshall and checking this spot out. We then continued on the North Country Trail route, which is the same route that you will use today in 2025, going northeast towards the historic Bridge Park. As we headed out, we could see signs of Battle Creek and other familiarities until we saw the largest rooster that we've ever seen in our life, which was pretty cool. At this point where we saw this rooster, we turned onto E Drive, and E Drive became a quick disappointment. While it started off as a lovely hike on a dirt road, it quickly became the biggest disappointment I've ever seen on a trail in regards to junk along a roadway. There was so much junk, I thought people must think that this place is an absolute dumping ground. I had never seen so many things dumped on the side of a road before, and just all along this road was completely trashed. Luckily, we didn't see any more of this as we continued on our hike. That seemed to be the only area where there was a dumping ground, and I really haven't seen anything like this in any other section of the North Country Trail. So that was pretty sad. But we continued on through Emmett Township towards the historic Bridge Park, and everything was just lovely the rest of the way. If you're finding any value at all in this video and hiking with me through this section on the North Country Trail, and it's helping you see what it would be like to hike this section of the North Country Trail, and this is something that you would like to do yourself, please give this video a thumbs up. Please subscribe, as I have more videos coming to show you what it's like to hike the North Country Trail from the Ohio-Michigan border going north. We then crossed over I-94, which is another major highway in the state of Michigan. I thought it was super cool to cross this highway. I always think it's cool to cross over a highway. I mean, this is a major thoroughfare for cars to get from here to there, and here we are hiking across it, making our way across the state of Michigan on the North Country Trail hiking. So I thought this was really cool. Once you cross the highway, you come up pretty quickly to the entrance to the historic Bridge Park. And oh my gosh, was I so excited. This is a lovely park preserving the history of bridges in the state of Michigan. I had always dreamed of having one of our bridges where I grew up in being a part of this historic Bridge Park. It didn't happen the way I wanted it to happen. I really wanted it to happen, but I enjoyed my time here. We spent quite a bit of time here. This was the end of our hike, and so it was a great way to end our hike and seeing all of the bridges across the state of Michigan being preserved in this way. Now, I know road miles is not on everyone's top list of places to hike or ways to hike. I know people want to go on highly scenic trails across the country. But one of the great things about hiking the North Country Trail is that it takes you through all of these great towns, and it allows you to see so much history in the state in which you live or states in which you don't live. And so this has given me so far a great way to learn more about the towns in our state of Michigan, and I have just thoroughly enjoyed hiking the North Country Trail. So this was my 8th hike on the North Country Trail for a total of 84 miles hiked on the North Country Trail. So I was pretty stoked about this. I only had 16 miles left to meet the 100-mile challenge put on by the North Country Trail. They do this every year. If you hike 100 miles on the North Country Trail and you submit it to the national headquarters, they will send you a patch, and it is so cool to receive your patch. I couldn't wait to accomplish this. Being only 10 miles to hike from here to get to Battle Creek, I couldn't wait for our next hiking adventure and to walk through my first major city. Be sure to like this video and subscribe to this channel so that you can see the next video in my series where we get to Battle Creek and we walk through the Ott Nature Preserve and through Battle Creek by the Underground Railroad sculpture. This sculpture and tribute is amazing. Thanks for watching this episode of Deb's Travel Vibe as I make my way north on the North Country Trail from the Michigan-Ohio border to the Manistee Forest. This has been the section hike from Marshall, Michigan to the historic Bridge Park. Next stop is Battle Creek. Again, thanks for watching. Here is the overview of the hike that we did.